I'm Josie and I'm back. Even though the schools are closed, I thought about we can still do online classes, learning and reading. You can also do your schoolwork. Until next time, bye!
Welcome to My Zone Online School. My name is Mr. Letwai Dumi. Welcome, my friend Pomwene. We are grade 7 mathematics, and before we start our lesson, let us remind ourselves and remember to sanitize. Make sure your whole hand is sanitized in between fingers, and we keep the social distance by stretching. Our lesson of today is on properties of numbers. Okay, let us take our booklet to page 13 where we are starting. And the properties of numbers, we have to read through. The first one is associative property, commutative property, and distributive property. The first two, check on your booklet for lessons for grade 6. They are explained there. So in our grade 7, we cannot repeat the same things. So let us start with distributive property. Granny distributes, or let's say gives, ice cream to her grandchildren. She gives an ice cream to each of them. Now if you look at the pictures, you can see the granny there. She's giving some ice creams to the children. There are 2 inside the brackets. So in mathematical way, that is that can also be explained in such a way, or with using that example which is there. 4 times 6 plus 8, and in that manner 6 plus 8 can also be inside the brackets. So to distribute 4 to those numbers inside the brackets, you can do expand and say 4 times 6 and 4 times 8 until you get to the answer. So below, the distributive law says that multiplying a number by a group of numbers added together is the same as doing each multiplication separately. Here is how we can use the distributive property to calculate difficult sums. So we have 6 times 54. So we have to expand 54. If you are to expand 54, expanding, I've done this video or presentation for expanding. So to expand 54, you can say 50 plus 4, and that have to be inside the brackets. And then you have to distribute 6 to 50 and 6 to 4 to and you have to go on until you get the answer. Decompose the larger number, distribute the 6 over both numbers, use BODMAS to calculate. So that is just the explanation or the steps that one have to use to get to the final answer. The 3 statements are just steps or guides to show you how to get to the last number or to apply that property. Also at number 4, we need to know the identity elements of addition. And if you look, there's a picture of a learner or a teacher trying to explain that what is inside that message box. 0 is the identity element of addition. 0, which is written in red, is the identity element of addition. You must take note of that, because a question can come and say, what is the identity element of addition? Then you must answer as 0. To explain below number 4, when 0 is added to a number, the sum is the original number. It stays the same. For example, 15 plus 0, it gives you 15. 0 added to a number, you get that number. Moving to page 14. We continue with the identity elements, but this time is for multiplication. When any number is multiplied by 1, the product is the original number, meaning it stays the same. If you just go through the sentence which I just wrote now, which I just read now, you can see that there's a word product. Dear learners, product in mathematical language is an answer to multiplication. I will repeat again. If I ask you to find the product, you need to multiply, meaning product is an answer to multiplication. The message box. The teacher is saying 1 is the identity element of multiplication. 1 is the identity element of multiplication. How? If you multiply 1 by a number, you get that number. And remember about the identity element of addition, which is 0. For multiplication, it's 1. Now, I need to go to the chalkboard to explain further in a practical way what I have just read on the booklet. I think you just need to switch your chair a bit and face here. Okay, we started with distributive property, but allow me to cover the associative property and also commutative property, even though this is also explained in grade 6. So if you watch the video for grade 6, you will be able to cope with what is explained there regarding associative and commutative property. So in short, I like to do things a little bit short and more understandable. When it comes to associative property, this is more on grouping. You are grouping certain numbers where to start. When it comes to commutative, we are doing the order. And here at distributive property, you are giving. So let us start with associative property. Associative property, we need to group. we need to group numbers where you need to start. This, if I have 2 added to 3 plus 4, you can decide wherever to start. If a number is associated with the other number, then it's up to you to decide where do you want to start. For example, I'll say the first one. I can decide to start here, meaning what I put inside the bracket is what I have to do first. So if I do this first, I'll get a 5, and I'll add a 4, then it's much easier for me to get a 9. I decided to start with 2 plus 3 because I know it will give me 5, and if I add 4 to 5, I'll get a 9. That is just one method. But another method, you can start the second method. I can decide and say, I have 2 added to 3 and 4. I can decide to start here. Meaning, there's 2 groups where you can start. You can decide to start there, and then I have to work out the answer here, which is going to be 7. Remember, there's addition here, which is there, and then there's 2 here, which is like that. So these happen to give me this answer, and of course this one happened to give me that answer. So from there I can work it out and get my answer as 9. So in short, when it comes to associative property, you can decide to work on a certain number that will feel like, yes, this number is associated to this, and then you can get your answer. But remember, the answer will always be the same, but you are not limited to start where you prefer to start, depending on which number do you feel is associated with the other. For me, I would choose to start with this one because I feel like if I add 2 to 3, I'll get a 5, and 5 is much easier to work with than to get 7 and add. Of course, it can also be an easy method to others. I said this is also explained in grade 6. We can always go and watch those video and get it you can understand much better. Let me move to commutative property. Commutative property, there is an order. There is an order that you have to change. For example, I may have 4 added to 5 to give me 9. But I can decide 5 added to 4 to give me 9. Now look at this. 4, 5. 5, 4. Addition is the same, but I still get the same answer. So in this manner, you need to change. There is some sort of changing the order. Here the order did not change. 2 was the first, 3 followed, 4 last, but here 4 have started here, but 4 have to end here. So in that manner, you can see that the order have changed. I'll give you another example. Let's say I have 5. Second example. Let's say I have 2 added to 8. We say added to 7 plus 8 plus 3. I have these numbers here. I need to change the order depending on the number which I feel can match with the other number. Look at 2 and look at 8. This number can give you 10. Look at 7 and look at 3. It can also give you 10. So I can change the order of this number and start by saying, for example, I can take 2 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3. I can do this. I can do this. So if I add 2 to 8, I'll get a 10. If I add 7 to 3, I'll get a 10. And my final, I have 20. Now let's go back to the order. The order was in this manner, but you can see that 8 was here, but now 8 is second. 7 was here, but you can see now 7 is here. So here and there is a change of order. But here, there is no change of order. It's just about where do you start. I believe this one is understandable. You can also do multiplication with it. It will just be the same answer still. Now let us go to the main property of today, which is distributive property. You need to remind yourself about expanding, because take it that we are giving, here we are giving 6 to this number, but it must be expanded. So we have to expand this 19. 19 expanded, remember this is a unit, this is a 10. So the value of this one at the position of 10 is 1 times 10. That already gives you 10. And 9 as a unit is 9 times 1. Remember the units are ones. This is the first video that I have explained. So this will be 9. And this is the value, and this is the value. Remember about the place value and the value. The first video I have done. So this is the expanded of 19. Then times 6. So in short, you are saying 6 times 10 and 6 times 9. You are giving 6 to 10 and you are also giving 6 to 9. So you are distributing. Remember about the granny in the booklet, whereby she's giving sweets to the grandchildren. So 6 times 10. So you have 6 times 10. There is addition here, which have to come down, plus 6 times 9. 6 times 9. 6 given to 10, 6 given to 9. 6 times 10, 6 times 9. Therefore, we must get our answer. My answer here, my answer here. Remember, addition is there. 6 times 10 is 60 plus, let me just write it big, 6 times 9, or 9 times 6, you can do that multiplication on your fingers. So say times 6, so it's 54. 54 times 6 is 54. And then to add these, you can have 4. And then we have 4, and then we just do it somewhere here. 60 plus 54, you have 4, you have 11. And then you have 1, 1, 4, as your final answer. What I have done here is to do the standard logarithm, which is the most key part we do in grade 7. When we add our numbers, we must add them in a vertical way, a unit straight with a unit, a tens straight with a tens. So that's why I did it that way. So if you add these two to give me 4, if you add these to give you 11, so the answer will be 114. Remember, to get to this answer, I have given away 6 to this number inside the brackets, and it goes down until there. So I believe that is understandable, and watch the video over and over. You'll get it if I was a little bit faster and a little bit of confusing. The last part is identity elements, and this is very short. We are trying to say we have two numbers, we have 0 and we have 1. We said 0 is an identity element of addition. 0 is an identity element of addition. How? If you add 0 to a number, you will get that number. If you add, let's say it's 7, you add a 0, you get 7. So when you add 0 to a number, you get that number. When you add 7 to 0, you get that 7. So anything 0, we say is nothing, so you must understand it from that angle. 0 is an identity element of addition because if I add 0 to a number, the answer will be that number. 1 is an identity element of multiplication. Why? Because, I'll do it here. If you multiply 7 times 1, I get 7. Or 1 times 10, I'll get 10. So the number, the answer 10 to be that number, you are multiplying with 1. So this must be fixed in the head that 0 is an identity element of addition and 1 is an identity element of multiplication. Why? Because if you add 0 to a number, you get a number. If you multiply a number by 1, you get that number. So I believe my explanation will help you to do the activity in the book. If you do not understand, repeat and watch the video over and over so that you can understand this much better. Now we have to move to our activity in our booklet. So let's go and do the activity. Okay, now let us do the activity on page 14 in our booklet. So we start with the first number 1. You need to match each expression with one of the properties shown by filling in the correct letter. We have A until H. So what you have to do is you have to look on your right hand side where there is a box of properties. The first one is associative property of addition, and it goes and goes, and the last one is identity element of multiplication. So if you have to go through and watch what I have explained on the chalkboard, you should be able to use these properties and fill in the correct letter. For example, the first one, A, we have 7 times 9 which can also be 9 times 7. What was applied there? Remember, is it grouping, is it order, or is it giving? So if you can remember those three aspects, you should be able to see which one is used there and just put a letter from the box. Which letter from the box is suitable for that expression? You do that until H. You just choose a letter which is appropriate for that. Go to number 2. Use the properties of numbers to mentally simplify each expression. So what we are going to do here is, you don't need to show me your work here. You have to do it in your head. For example, we have A. I think I have done A on the chalkboard. So what must you do there, and so that you can just give the final answer? You can do it on a paper, of course, but mentally is when you think, okay, I have to add 2 to 8, I have to add 7 to 3, then I get what, then the final answer will be what, without some sort of calculation. You need to think deep. So you have to do that until 3B. So I think at number 3, I'll just make a correction there at number 3. Number 3, you must do the calculations. You must do step by step because there is space for you to work on. Only at number 2 you have to do mentally, but at number 3 you have to do the calculations. It's easy. Remember where to expand, where to do what, and so on and so on. So let us go to page 15 to finish with number 4. At number 4, you have to, where there is X, at A, where there is X, you need to think what number should be there. So on your right hand side, X equals 2, so X is what in that expression? So if X is 3, then you must write 3. If X is 1, then you should also write 1. So think first, don't just write any number there. And then you also need to explain what property is applied there. There is a word property. You need to explain which property. If it's associative, then you have to do it. You have to write it associative property. Or if it's commutative property of addition, then you have to write it in that manner. At B, we also have to look where X is, be able to differentiate between X and multiplication. So you have also to indicate the property. At C, you also have to do the same. Until F, you are doing the same. So I hope that is quite easy to do. Do your work, and if you do not understand, kindly consult the teacher so that the teacher can explain further. Talk to your parents so that they can also explain further. And from me, I think we have come to the end of the activity. But remember to sanitize your hands and keep on a mask. Safety first. Keep the social distance by stretching out, and stay safe, and all the best.